Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining our HMS report office hours. Wanted to start off with some reminders, so please enter your name and agency into the chat box. Our team will try our best to answer all the questions during the Zoom meeting. For any questions that require additional research, we'll follow up with your agency through a help desk ticket. We will cover the following topic in today's meeting. We're going to go over the COC NOFO overview, the scoring related to data quality and project performance reports. We're also going to have an overview of the data quality report card as well as the project performance reports and go over some report measures with some guidance on how to review and make corrections to your data. And we'll also have some time for Q&A, so please feel free to share any questions you may have. The COC NOFO Program Performance Scoring. In order to complete the ranking and rating of COC-funded project that is required to be submitted with the COC application, the COC NOFO ad hoc develops scoring and rating criteria to evaluate each project. The percentage of the score and rating criteria points are reserved for the project performance. Each year, the ad hoc proposes which performance measure should be included, as well as the threshold and point awarded for each measure. The performance data is taken from the report published by 201 OC. The report process. Agencies are sent correction files to review and correct project performance data and data quality data before the reports are published. Data quality and project performance report are also available for agencies to pull from the HMIS database on an at-need basis. Project performance are pulled every 6 months for each project type, and data quality report cards are published quarterly. Agencies are notified via email and during the monthly user meeting when the reports are published. Performance and data quality threshold are discussed at the Data and Performance Management meeting on a quarterly basis. We also want to share the reporting periods. There is an update to transitional housing. The following reporting period is to support with the fiscal year 2025 COC application timeline. So for PSH and other PH, we will still be reporting February 1st, 2024 to January 31st, 2025. Rapid rehousing, we are still reporting March 1st, 2024 through February 28th, 2025. The only adjustment is transitional housing will also be reporting the same time as rapid rehousing, March 1st, 2024 through February 28th, 2025. And for the data quality report card, it will be the first quarter, so it will be January 1st, 2025, all the way through March 31st, 2025. In the next couple slides, we'll be reviewing the year-to-year measures and point allocations. Please note the 2025 NOFO ad hoc will be reviewing and determining the measure and point allocation for this year's application. This is to give each agency an overview of the different measures and point allocations over the past year's applications. I'll quickly review 2024's measures. So the first measure is average data quality. That score is pulled from the quarterly data quality report card of quarter one, and the rest of the measure is pulling from the project performance report. So entry from homelessness, that is goal one, all the way to referrals from CS, which is goal 14. We do have a project overview guide that will go more in depth with each measure. Rapid housing measure and point allocations. So 2024, again, the first measure, average data quality, is pulled from quarter one data quality report card, and the rest of the measures are pulled from the rapid rehousing project performance report. And for our partners who have a joint transitional housing and rapid housing, last year the AHA established measures for the joint projects. So the first score is pulling from the quarter one data quality report card, and the rest of the measures are pulled from the project performance report. Just want to take a quick pause in case there's any questions about the measures and point allocation. Please feel free to add your questions in the chat or unmute yourself.
Good morning, Elizabeth. This is Natalie with Families Forward. I was hoping you can give us clarification for the 10% within the goal to receive half points. Is that 10%? So let's just take the 30 days of the permanent housing. Is it 10% of 30? So if you were housing families within 33 days, then you would get half the points. And then the same for the percentages. Is it I believe for one of the goals is days to permanent housing. I'm sorry, the successful exits 80%. So then if you're 10% of 80, I can't do the math off the top of my head, but then it would be like that. If you permanently house 88%, then you would get 72%, then you would get half the points.
Hi, good morning, Natalie. Thank you for your question. I just wanted to confirm you were looking at days to PH placement and the threshold goal and how the point is allocated for half point. Is that correct?
Yes, and specifically for RRH.
Okay, yes. And then Erin, correct me if I'm wrong, or please share additional notes. Yes, if your agency is scoring within 10% of the goal, you will get half point.
Yeah, so for days to permanent housing placement, it would be 10% of 30 days, which is like 33, I think. So if your score is between 31 and 33 days, and you would get half points or whatever that 10% comes out to. For the other measures that are percentages like entries from homelessness, if you're within 10% of the threshold, so if you had 90% to 99%, you would get half points.
Perfect. Thank you, Erin. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you for your question.
I have a follow-up question. Where can we find the information regarding the point allocation if we don't meet the exact threshold?
What do you mean, Carmen?
So you just you were sharing with Natalie that let's say if you're within, I think you used a 33% threshold for the, and you would get X half of the point allocation. How do we, I'm asking for the information about what what point allocation you get based on the thresholds, which you just told Natalie. How do we find that information?
So what Elizabeth shared is the scores and thresholds and point allocations that the COC board has approved in previous years. And so they're going to be starting that process again within the next month or two this year. Um, so they're gonna they're gonna see this information that we're showing you now. They're gonna see what the data is looking like for the COC funded agencies, and then they're going to determine what they want the thresholds and measures and points to be for this year, and then they will approve that at a COC board meeting. So we won't be able to give you your final NOFO scores until they have approved that and made that decision. What we sent to you last week was based on if they were to use the same um, criteria that they used last year, this is what your data would look like. Um, so it's a way for you to start thinking about your data without the actual stress of the NOFO yet.
Mhm.
So the whatever they decide this year will probably be similar to what it was last year, but it's not the same. So yeah, well, that needs to be approved by the board, and that will be shared once it has been approved.
Okay, thanks, Aaron.
I have
Aaron, can
one.
you speak a little to the process of the NOFO ad hoc committee? Are those public meetings where they're determining those, or do they meet privately to discuss changing the threshold measurements?
So the ad hoc is approved and convened by the COC board, so they like choose who the members are for this year. And then those meetings are private meetings that the Office of Care Coordination attends, and then we attend for the discussion around this part, the performance score. Um, and then they usually make a draft recommendation, and then we present that to the COC funded agencies um, to get their feedback. And that happens before it goes to the COC board for final approval. So there is an opportunity usually to provide that feedback. You can also provide that feedback now over email, and we can prepare to share that with the ad hoc as well.
Thank you for your questions. We'll go ahead and move over to the overview, but we appreciate your question and feedback. As Erin mentioned, please do reach out and let us know if you have any feedback or questions, additional questions about the NOFO measure and point allocations. So our data quality report card and project performance overview, we do have guides that help agencies review to ensure that their report is reflecting accurately to their operations. So the data quality report card is posted quarterly. It includes data completeness, data accuracy, and timeliness. It's ensuring that your agency inputs a valid response, and during the draft data, each agency will be given a file to review and determine if there's any correction that needs to be done in HMIS. The project performance report includes all projects that participate in HMIS and those who are funded with COC and ESG funding, and highlight different measures that HUD and our COC have determined are important in effectively ending homelessness for the clients in Orange County. I'm going to pause. I think we have some questions in the chat. Of the PSH measure and point allocation, which are community defined versus determined by HUD. So our measures for the project performance, we do pull from HUD reports. So we ensure that our measure are aligned to LSA and SMP and community defined measures. We discuss with partner agencies in the data and management performance meeting to determine appropriate thresholds for our community to ensure that we continue to work on supporting our community to end homelessness. We will have additional details on the breakdown of those measures, so thank you for your question. We do have another question about NOFO. PPR dates don't typically match up with the federal timeline. What is the reason behind using these data versus project term dates? Erin, could you support with that question?
Yeah. So every COC contract has separate reporting dates throughout the year. And we to streamline the reporting process and just so that we only have to pull the data once rather than having to pull it 20 times for each agency's reporting period. That's why we've done it this way. And then for the other question about the measures and point allocations, like Elizabeth said, we do pull measures and try to align with HUD reporting as much as possible. So like Elizabeth said, the LSA or the system performance measures and the APRs. So most of the measures are from there. The 4 coordinated entry measures were determined locally based on feedback and need from the community and the COC board. But HUD leaves it up to each COC to determine how they want to do the ranking and rating for the NOFO. And this was the process that our community and COC came up with.
Erin, as a follow-up question to that, thank you for explaining that. And I know you've tried to explain this to me in email several times, so I apologize for asking it, but I just thought it would be easier to answer verbally. So if the say let's use PSH as an example, if the starting timeline for that is February 1st of 2024, as you showed in your previous slide. Why then are the reports that were sent to us run on a completely different set of timelines? I think you had mentioned it was July 1st as a starting date. And I'm curious as a community, is there an opportunity for us to publish project performance reports that are following the timelines that you would be using for the next NOFO process? So we always would have an idea of, data sets as they relate to what the NOFO data is going to be looking at, if that makes sense.
So right now, project performance reports for each project type are published twice a year. And so permanent supportive housing, as an example, the data is published twice a year. One reporting period is the one you're seeing on the screen from February 1st to January 31st. The other reporting period is, I don't remember the dates, but it was the ones that was like August or July or something, which is the data that we used when we just sent you your draft data last week. So we use the data from the other report that we're publishing for the permanent supportive housing projects as like a prep to let you look at your data with so that you could see your data without the pressure of the notebook.
I can add additional notes. As Erin mentioned, we wanted each agency to have the opportunity to see where your project performance is currently. So the draft data is using the latest project performance score for each project type, so that your agency can have the opportunity for this upcoming reporting period, the different timeline that you see on the PowerPoint, to have the opportunity to address any of those pending corrections, to work on reviewing your data and preparing for the NOFO.
Okay, I'm sorry, just a follow-up because I was told that the reporting period of the data that was sent to us was for August 1st, 2023 through July 31st, 2024. How does that relate at all to the timelines given for permanent supportive housing? Wouldn't it make more sense to do the periods of time that align with six months into that 12-month timeline that you're giving?
Thank you, Allison, for your follow-up question. So the report that was generated, or the scores that we took to provide the draft, was the latest published PPR. So we wanted each agency to see where they're currently sitting during that, if we use the latest published report. So for the NOFO, we will be using the following timeline listed on this PowerPoint. We just wanted to ensure that we're pulling from published report scores so each agency can see where they're currently sitting.
And there's an overlap of about 6 months between the reporting periods. So from I think 6 months of the data that will be in the NOFO was on the reports that you just received scores on.
Right. Is there an opportunity again to, if you're going off of published data, which I understand, right? That makes sense. But why can't the published data start to align with these timelines so that you're actually looking at clients that would have been affected, right, within the same reporting period? You're like, if you're giving us data for clients basically that may have entered or exited right within the reporting period that you're going to be ranking our projects on, couldn't we change our publishing timeline as a COC to align with what's being presented here? So if you are going to publish them twice a year, again, you're doing them in increments of 6 months that align with these, so that we're sort of at the halfway mark, right? We can see where our projects are performing against what they'll be ranked on. And then, at the 12-month period, that's sort of the established published report that will actually be used for the ranking. I guess I'm having a really hard time with understanding why they're done on different timelines and why we don't move as a community to align them more closely to these NOFO timelines.
What you're describing is basically what we're doing. We publish two different sets of reports because these reports are used for more than just the NOFO. These reports are used by all the agencies in HMIS so that they can see a year's worth of data and how they're performing. So we publish the report with the other reporting period as like a check-in to let you see your data and see how you would be performing on the NOFO. And then in March, we're going to start the process again to pull the data for this current reporting period so that you can make corrections and have the opportunity to fix your data before the final scores are published. And so we will send you draft measures or draft data and corrections for some of the measures. You also have reports in HMIS that you can pull on a monthly basis or as often as you would like to look at your data and make corrections there as well. So this is just another chance to let you think about your data, because usually when we haven't done this in the past, the agencies want to make corrections to their data after the data has already been finalized. So this was in trying to avoid that.
Aaron, I think we have one more question in the chat. With a new grant contract 2-year cycle, does the first year of data get published in the upcoming NOFO?
So we've been doing this on an annual basis. Um, the Office of Care Coordination is still trying to figure out what the 2-year NOFO reporting cycle means, because the HUD hasn't been very clear on that yet. It sounds like even with the 2-year reporting cycle, the data will still be looked at on an annual basis, not a 2-year basis. So it would reflect the reporting periods that we mentioned.
You, everyone, for your question. Really appreciate you bringing that up for our discussion. I wanted to share, this is a quick snapshot of the project performance report that is available on Clarity for agencies to run. You're able to run at and adjust the reporting period as needed to review your data over the year. For the purpose of the project performance, we do recommend running it based on the reporting period to see where your agency data is currently at and to address any data entry errors. And to pause really quick to do a quick demo of the report. So thank you for your patience as I need to switch screens. You see the training clarity site?
Yes.
Heather for confirming. I'm currently on the training site, but it is very closely mirrored to our live training or live clarity site. So to access the report, please click on the launching pad that kind of looks like an waffle icon. And when you click reports, you'll be taken to this window. And our project performance and data quality reports are available under data analysis. And once you expand the Orange County Clarity System report, you'll be able to access data quality reports as well as project performance report. So for today's demo, I have a quick dashboard of the project performance report for PSH. So this is a condensed dashboard, but your agency would have access to run all the applicable goals for each project type. And the HMS team supports with sending over Goal 5 and Goal 10, but we encourage each agency to run this report to review the other applicable goals for your project type. So each tile is going to be pulling in data for each measure. So measure 1 is looking at participants' entry. It's going to flag any participants that are coming from a non-homeless situation. So you'll see it's going to be color-coded in this bright pink. And those that do meet the measurement coming from a homeless situation will be in blue. So if you click on the bar, you're able to also get a client level list of those participants that are not entering from a homeless situation. And you can review to verify that data is accurate. Thank you for your patience. It's going to take just a second for the data to populate, but it's going to give you a list of clients that are counted in that measure that are not coming from a homeless situation. So you can go ahead and if you click on Client ID, you can go to the client profile and review their enrollment to verify if there's any data correction that needs to be done. Our COC has set goal 1 to be 100%. So we are expecting 100% of participants coming from a homeless situation. So for those that are being flagged as non-homeless situation, it is a opportunity for your agency to review to make those corrections by reviewing this data and seeing those that are not entering from a homeless situation. And goal 7 is going to look at adults that exit your program and if they and their income status, if they had increased income, if they maintained their income, if there was a decrease or they answered no income. So when you're looking at this goal, you can again click on the different section to see clients that are listed and seeing if there's any correction that needs to be made. It's important to record changes in income because if clients had a slight increase, that is a good outcome for your agency. So making sure those are tracked and accurately reflect your agency operations. And goal 12 is looking at limiting referrals from coordinated entry that's denied by housing provider. So it's going to show you if the denial is from the client or from the housing provider. So making sure that denial from housing provider is within the threshold that is set. And then we'll pause to see if there's any questions.
Elizabeth, is there any guides or anything? I know you had given some links or that you shared some links. I couldn't access them from the screen, but are there tools that we can reference that shows us the logic that's used behind each one of these? I think there was some questions in the chat about, are you looking at just household members or all individuals, that type of detailed logic? I think some of the times that we're finding is we'll look at these project performance reports and then maybe comparing them to other types of reports that are available in the system, maybe like an APR report as an example. And we often find that there may be more clients that we're serving that don't always show up in the data on these project performance reports. So kind of knowing the logic, I think, is useful to understand where those discrepancies are happening and to be able to identify which clients may be affected by those issues so we can submit, detailed tickets. Do you have that somewhere? And have you yourselves come across this issue with discrepancies? And is there an opportunity for us as agencies to work through those?
Yes, thank you, Allison, for your question. We'll make the slides available, but I also wanted to share the guides are available on our website. You can go to ochms.org and under reports, you can navigate to the project performance report screen, and the project performance overview will be available here. When we send out the draft data, we will also link to these guides for your agency and user to review. So if we click on this guide, it's going to provide more context around the different reporting timeline, as well as it will go into more details for each measure. For example, goal one, it's going to let you know which project type is included in this measure, the applicable project type, and the thresholds, as well as the universe of clients that are included in that measure. And for goal one, we are looking at those are coming from a literal homeless situation. So if they're coming from these destinations or prior living situation, they would be meeting that threshold goal. There are some neutral situation where clients who are entering from a non-homeless situation, but if they're fleeing domestic violence, they're going to be excluded from the measure. If they're entering from any other situation that's not listed here, then they're going to be flagged for not coming from a homeless situation. So if they're not coming from this logic, this is kind of the background regarding that logic on how the measure is calculated, as well as the other projects. Other measures you'll see as you scroll down the guide. It's going to let you know each goal and which project type is included in that project type is included in that measure and the different thresholds.
Elizabeth, I'd like to follow up on Allison's question. So, and especially about the logic. So we had some, I think it's 11, the one about for PSH, all clients are coming from CES referrals. When I ran the detail for our agency, well, first of all, we didn't get any points on that one, but when I ran the detail reports for our agency, there were people in the details. Um, have you guys? I'm sure you have vetted it, but I'm just wondering how this happens that we see people in our data that should be counted, but they're not showing up. And let me see, Reynold, can you go through the logic for that one, the one for make it a little bit bigger, please. Let me see here. This is my first time seeing it. Um,
And then Heather also added the link into the chat if you want to
okay,
also open that on your end. This is as much as I can zoom in so
I
that
can
it
see
doesn't
it.
cut off any text. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So thank you for the logic. I'll go through it offline and just await an answer to the ticket that I submitted regarding this.
Yeah, thank you for your question. As you're reviewing your data, please feel free to reach out. We are more than happy to schedule some time to do a deeper dive of your data to find where the error is. With goal 11, it's going to look at participants entering your project that they do have a coordinated entry enrollment and a referral to your agency. So it's ensuring that there's a linkage that was created. So in some cases, maybe it could be that the linkage is not yet created, so we can support with creating that linkage. It could be that, again, this is looking at head of household, so making sure participants that have the referral is enrolled and is also the head of household of your program enrollments. So if you're seeing participants that are being flagged as not having a coordinated entry referral, submit a ticket and we're more than happy to review and identify where the error is and next steps to make those corrections.
Yeah, Amy's been doing a really good job helping us identify those clients. So shout out to her for her assistance with that.
Thank you, Colin. I appreciate that shout out. Just wanted to pause to see if there's any other questions. So we did have a question. Are there any reports we can run to monitor goal 5 and goal 10? So those measures our HMS team we do process outside of Clarity. So we send your agency draft data during the reporting period. So when you're looking at goal 5, ensuring that all your active clients are enrolled to ensure that you're using your better utilization, that it's being maxed out. If there's any open opportunities, that those are being made available for CS referrals. And for goal 10 is just ensuring if there are any participants that do exit your program, that they're supported to stabilize their situation when they exit so they don't return to the homeless system. So those reports, our HMS team do have to process outside of Clarity, so we don't have reports available for agencies to run those yet. And we do have a question about the data. If it's a head of household or all members, you will, in the overview, it does include the universe of participants that are included. So there are some measure where it is head of household and some measures that are including all adults in the program. So we do recommend reviewing the project performance overview to understand the universe of clients that are included in each measure. In the next couple slides, I wanted to go over some common errors with the measures and some guidance on how to address those errors. And then thank you for your patience. I just need to get my screen ready. So thank you for the questions we had. We actually did also want to go over these goals. So goal 1, we are looking at clients that are entering from a literal homeless situation. So this goal is looking for agencies to be serving 100% of the participants coming from a homeless situation, a literal homeless situation. So when you're running the report, if you're seeing any clients that are being flagged as entering from a non-homeless situation, it's important to review and verify that is accurate. It could be due to errors with data entry, so making sure your agency goes in and make those corrections. There are also neutral situations, so these clients would not be included in the measure. So when you're running the report, if you're only seeing X amount of clients included in the measure because there are participants that would not be included because they're coming from neutral situations. As mentioned, one example is clients that are coming from non-homeless situation if they're fleeing domestic violence situations. So our partner agencies who are VSP ensuring that domestic violence, that field is filled out in the enrollment screen so that your data correctly reflect that. And this data is being pulled from the enrollment screen. So this data element is 3.971 prior living situation. It is used to determine the type of living situation and length of stay that the participant is in immediately prior to project start for all adults and head of household. And so the applicable project type is listed and the targets. So street outreach, emergency shelter, transitional housing, rapid rehousing, PSH, and other PH projects. And the goal is 100% for all project types. And we also wanted to go over goal 6 and goal 7, helping adults increase their income. So goal 6 is going to look at stayers in the project. So it's going to look at clients that are still active in your project during the reporting period and who have been there for at least 1 year or longer. So it's important that your agency is going in and reviewing the project enrollment data, as well as ensuring that an annual assessment is completed for those who have been in your project for longer than a year or longer. And goal 7 is going to look at adults who exit the project during the reporting period. So ensuring that their exit screen is reflecting their income at exit. And please note, we do have this included in the guide. The measure is going to exclude clients that did not provide valid responses during their project enrollments. So clients that didn't have income would be excluded from this measure. To ensure that your agency is entering updated data and accurate data for income is ensuring that you include status update assessments. Is going to track changes while the clients are still enrolled in your project. Status update is to be completed if it's outside of the range of the annual assessment. Typically, agencies enter annual assessment typically, and sometimes status if there are changes. The annual assessment is conducted within a 30-day window, either before or after the head of household 1-year anniversary of their project start, and if they're still active in your project. That would be included for goal 6. And for goal 7, as mentioned, this is pulling from the program exit screen. So ensuring that you review and track all income data on that program exit screen. Increase in income is a key performance measure of most federal partner programs. So it's important that that information is collected and entered on the exit screen. Goal 11, receive referrals from coordinated entry system. So permanent housing and COC and ESG funded projects should be receiving referrals from coordinated entry to ensure that the highest priority clients are receiving housing resources they need to end their homelessness. The applicable project type and their target is rapid rehousing, PSH, and other PH. The goal is 100%. The universe of clients that are included is head of household with a project start within the reporting period. So it's going to look, goal 11 is calculated based on completed referrals over number of new referrals in your program during that reporting period. And Carmen, thank you for your question. I wanted to highlight this part where you can also check for the client history as you're looking at your list of clients that are not being included in that measure. It's important to go ahead and check the client history, making sure that the referral has an end date. If the referral has an end date, it's noting that um, it is no longer an open referral and there was an outcome to that referral. So that date. And under program history, if you're looking at your project and there's a linkage icon next to it, that means that there was a referral to CES and there was a linkage. So that is verifying that this participant referral has been closed, is closed looped, as well as the linkage to verify that they did receive a referral and match through CES. I'm going to pause. I think we had a question. Can you share more why goals 6 and 7 are based on individual adult income and not entire households? Erin, could you support with that question?
Hello, sorry. Yeah, so for that measure, we use the same calculation, or we're calculating it the same way that it's calculated on the system performance measures. They are looking at it by client, adult client, and not by household. So that's how we did it as well to keep that consistency.
Thank you, Erin, for your support, and thank you for your question. And one of the other goals we wanted to look at is goal 12, limiting denials by household by housing providers. We noticed that there is some data corrections or data entry errors. So if your agency takes a deeper dive to review this, there is opportunities to make those corrections to bring up your score. So permanent housing projects should not be denying households that are matched to their housing opportunities unless the household is not eligible to be served by the project. So applicable project types and target is rapid rehousing, PSH, and other PH. Each project type should be looking to score less than or equal to 40% denial from their agency. And the way this measure is calculated is count of denials by provider over total count of denials. You'll see to the left of this, the left screenshot, it's going to look at the status of the referral. So when you're entering, if the referral is being denied, there's an option to indicate if it's denied by the client or housing provider. So making sure that that denial type is entered incorrectly. So in the next screen, we're going to look at the table of reasons and which denial type is appropriate for each reason. We also have this table available in our KB. Heather, if you can link that KB, thank you. So this table is available in our knowledge base article. It's helpful for users that are working with referrals to your agency, get familiar with the different reason of denial and determining the denial type. So you'll see in column A, it's the different reasons of denial, and then column B and C is the denial type. So if the client did not show up or did not call back based off of their match, and the denial would be by the client. If there was a reason for denial by landlord or property manager, that would be a denial by housing provider. So based on the different denial reason, it would help you determine if it is denied by client or housing provider. We have noticed that in some cases, agencies or users are using housing provider, but the reason is actually linked to a client denial. So making sure that your agency download the client level data and double checking that the denial are entered incorrectly. And then I wanted to take a pause to see if there's any questions. These are some helpful reports that we recommend your agency run while reviewing your project performance and data quality. We recommend running the head of household enrollment data, making sure that your household composition is accurate. There are some cases where members could be enrolled as individuals and it could cause issues with your data, as well as some reports like data accuracy that would look at disability fields as well as enrollment fields. And the project performance would be pulling in data for each measure to help your agency see where your performance is currently and if there's any opportunities to make corrections to errors. For those who joined us a little bit later on, please enter your name and agency into the chat box for attendance. Just wanted to kind of open up for questions. Feel free to add them into the chat or feel free to unmute yourself.
I have not so much a question, maybe just an observation and a request. Um, I know every month OCHMIS does supports the community on all sorts of information to help our users be better at all things HMIS. Um, I'm wondering I'm wondering if there's an opportunity because I'm always talking about this to all the folks at Mercy House about why data matters. I'm wondering um, if there's an opportunity to help connect the dots between everything that you guys talk about every month and this, why it matters. Basically, it matters because it affects our funding. And I don't know that the people that attend the monthly HMIS meetings are the same people on this meeting, so they're able to connect the dots. So that's one thought off the top of my head. Maybe something on the OCM website, maybe just an overview of why data matters, maybe something as part of the initial HMIS training, part 1 and 2, and then maybe add a refresher. I mean, we can never say it too much because it matters. It matters to whether or not we meet that threshold for funding. So that's one thing I'm thinking about. And then the other thing that I think would be helpful, and I know that it's not necessarily two and one's area responsibility, but maybe could provide feedback to the CES team. There used to be whereas the CES team used to provide these, like when we first got started, these sessions on CES, all things CES. I think that we could do another one of those about, that workflow process in terms of just for us, maybe in connecting, a referral from making sure that the referral is connected the right way so that we get credit for it and things like that. Just some comments.
No, thank you, Carmen. Really appreciate you providing that feedback. We do have a user meeting coming up next week, so we can implement some of your feedback and suggestion. We will be sending out draft data for the PPR, so we can include more context about the importance of reviewing the data and ensuring that it's accurate. Regarding CS, we'll go ahead and pass along that to the CS team, but we do have knowledge base articles that we can definitely highlight and review in the user meeting as well.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Carmen. I really appreciate your feedback. If there's any additional questions or feedback, please feel free to add that into the chat or unmute yourself.
Hello, Elizabeth. It's Brian from American Family Housing. I just want to double check, is it possible to have a separate meeting to discuss the APR, I mean, not the APR, sorry, the NOFO directly for the programs that are listed in the email?
Yes, Brian, feel free to, and any of our agencies that did get the draft NOFO, if you have any questions regarding the draft NOFO or your project, feel free to add a reply in that email and let us know some questions you have, and we can schedule a call to further discuss.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. And for our partner agencies that aren't part of the NOFO, you can still feel free to reach out to our team to review the PPR. If you would like to do a deeper dive and review your agency data, feel free to submit a ticket. Coordinate with your agency admin. They can submit a ticket to schedule time for our team to review your agency data with you. I don't think I see any more questions. I just want to thank you everyone for joining us today. If there's any questions that do come up later on, feel free to submit a ticket to our HMS help desk. We're more than happy to refer and share additional knowledge base article or schedule a call to do a deeper dive with your agency. Thank you everyone for your time today. Have a great day.